And the reason they denied me, because I didn't put my email or my phone number on the request. My question is, yes, that's the law, but what if somebody don't have an email or a phone number? There's people that live that way, they have an address, they have a bike uptown. Now, are they gonna be denied, or are they gonna have to hire a lawyer? You know, this is my question to you guys. This is an honesty policy, you know, like with you, if I were to ask you, would you give me a copy of the policy, would you do it, you know? A public official, you don't have to go and do what you're doing to these people. It's disgusting to me. I think Steve has a glimmer of hope, John has a glimmer of hope, the rest of them, I write them off. But, the dishonesty it just runs rampant here. And, I'm done.
In regards to appointing the new PC members,
Name.
Ben Reynolds, Stanley. You said that they have not signed with Apex, so there's no conflict. In Sydney Township, there's a conflicted board member, and he used the technicality that he didn't sign with Apex. He signed a lease with Coral Wind One LLC. So, with that being said, trust but verify, you confirm that these people have not signed any lease or contract with any other company by any other name, have not or in the future plan on signing any kind of lease with solar or wind companies.
To my knowledge, they said they have not. They don't intend to.
It's just a technicality that we have to keep an eye on.
I understand.
I have just a couple of questions. Colleen, you said that.
Where are you from?
Linda Rouse. You were talking about to get it on the ballot, you have to go through all the legal, jumble, everything, you have to have it to the county by August to get the wording to put on.
For August election, we have to have it to the county by May.
Okay, for the November election, you have to have it by August, right? Okay. The other thing I was wondering about, townships meet once a month, this type of thing. Do supervisors meet also once a month? The reason I ask that, because I go to quite a few meetings and a lot of things are changed throughout or mentioned throughout. It's almost like word for word from one township to another township. The public comments being changed. That is one example. Julia being removed is another example. It's almost like a playbook that's coming out every month.
Well, let me explain that. I'm not going to say why. There's reasons. I will talk with Julia about it, but it has nothing to do with her personally or anything like that. I don't even know what, I don't subscribe to the Daily News, so I don't know what happens to the rest of the townships. But there were other
That
circumstances.
would make me more suspicious if you aren't reading it in the paper.
Why would I?
Well, you know what's
Well,
going on in the other
our
townships.
It was.
Okay.
Say what?
If you're not reading what's going on in other townships, but yet you are still doing what they are doing, I have to just think that you have like a monthly meeting too, just like you have one here for the citizens.
No, we don't.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Penny Bass, I'm from Valley Township. Shouldn't it have been voted on for Julia to be removed, like you voted on it to put other people on there? Instead of you just making the decision on your own, or is that the way it's done?
Usually the red book says the board or the supervisor submits the names, the recommendation to that, to the board.
But you didn't vote on it, you voted on it to put two other people on there, but you didn't vote on it to take Julia off, you just, when John asked, you said, oh, I'm removing Julia. You didn't even explain anything to your board about removing Julia or take a vote on it.
Well, her term expired in December. It wasn't like I removed her. Her term expired in December 21st. construction, there were things in, and I'm not out to badmouth her or anything like that. I'm not like other people that wanna destroy people's reputation, and that's why I won't discuss it with you. I will discuss it with her, but not with anyone else.
Okay, and also February 5th, if any of you are interested, at the Wildflower in Troopment at 1 o'clock, there is, a rally going on. There's gonna be speakers there. You said you would like to hear some of public's comments on the turbines and this and that you thought you should have a regular meeting for that. Well, this isn't a regular meeting for that, but it is gonna be very informational. It is all free. There's going to be refreshments. There's gonna be a brass band there. It's at 1 o'clock until whenever. So if you guys can schedule it in your books to go get some education, I'm sure your township or your citizens would appreciate it.
Is there any other comments?
Ryan Batsolkin on Winfield Township. I live on Indian Lake and getting involved in the association there. Regarding the paved roads around the lake, apparently there was discussion 2 years ago, you and the road commission and someone else on the board on the lake. Where are you at on paving some of the dirt roads around the lake?
Well, we're gonna wait and see what money we have when we do our budget. Also, the contracts won't be in until, usually the 1st of April, that sort of thing. The road commission will give us their suggestions of what needs to be, taken care of, and that's.
We're looking at getting creating a parking lot at the pavilion for the lake, which involves clearing some trees and then possibly asphalt and whatnot. I believe the road is Cheyenne that rolls into that. Would that be a possibility to get that priority, to get that paved as well?
I don't know.
Can you make a note of it, or?
I can. I can ask him to make me a contract for it.
And then there's also numerous other ones around the lake. You know, based on our tax base, you'd think that, you know, we could get some kind of, you know, something to get these unpaved roads taken care of.
Well, we do have other roads too.
I understand that.
That aren't paved.
That's all I got.
Okay. Any other comments? Jeremy?
Jeremy Quaco, Cato Township. I had a few things to say, but a lot came up, and since I'm on a 2-minute crunch here. First, Steve, with the public hearing, I think you just have to make a motion, someone second it, you guys gotta vote. But if you don't make the motion, they're not gonna make it for you. The tower height, according to Apex's maps, it does say 675 foot. It gives the footage and the setback, and it gives, I think it's 1.8 is their setback distance from the height, and you can reverse the math, you get 670 foot. We know what they want to do. John, with Brian O'Shea's maps, I would love to have an opportunity to present some as well, but I would like more than 2 minutes to do so. If I could get 5 minutes on the agenda for the planning commission meeting, I can put out PowerPoint just to have something to compare with Brian's. Mainly because Brian doesn't have a good reputation for being honest. I just spoke with a woman this weekend who she signed Brian's Montcalm Wind's petition for support. They're going around trying to get people who would support. She had never heard of Montcalm Wind. She knew she signed something that supported green energy. And I don't think there's a single person in this room that wouldn't sign it. That's completely different than a development in progress. No clue that this was going on. That's these type of people. I would be careful with any information you're getting from them without having something comparable. The maps aren't too hard to figure out. You just need, a little familiarity and a little bit of math. But it's not that difficult to do. At the 4 times the height restrictions, you still have options for about 7 turbines. You go back through Daily News' recordings on your meetings. Fahey makes a comment about, well, you guys presented Pine River's ordinance, and John had made a comment that obviously we have to make it more restrictive, which is a good comment. Phyllis, you expressed a year ago that when asked about the wind ordinance, we have no timeline at this particular moment. The plan is, as soon as our governor allows us to meet, we plan on meeting at a bigger venue than this, so the residents of Winfield Township can attend and we can listen to their comments. And it is important that we listen to what the residents say first. Now, we still have not had a public hearing for the wind, so I don't know if this is just, you know, pacifying language. I tried my damnedest to give you the benefit of the doubt that you are not, you know, working for Apex, but man, it is getting harder and harder. You can ask anybody here in this room. I piss them off when I sit there and I back you up and I try to defend you.
Thank you.
So a little bit of credit. I appreciate you answering questions as well. Don't let the lawyer destroy your township. He's just making money off this. And he's not pro-wind, he's not anti-wind, he's whoever's gonna give him more. But Fahey had expressed, somewhere, he put out the numbers, he knows how many turbines that you guys were looking to get. And I don't know if I'm gonna find it. But he had expressed if you make it more restrictive, here we go. And Fahey's talking about decommissioning funds. He expressed it costs $200,000 to remove a turbine. You're not gonna remove a turbine less than 150 foot for $200,000. He suggests $3,500 per wind turbine being your decommissioning escrow, which is freaking ridiculous for anybody in this township and would be responsible for that. But so his numbers, he said 25 to 50,000 would be a reasonable amount to accept for an escrow fee at 3,500 per turbine. That's 9 to 15 turbines. So when Apex first came into here, they're saying you're going to get 5 turbines a township. We're not trying to litter the township. They have every and full intentions of littering the township. Just to keep in mind who is being honest and who are just desperate to give information. Let people give you information, you can cipher out what's truthful and what's not, but if you only get it from one side, you're only going to get one opinion. So,
Speak to me after the meeting.
appreciate it.
Jeremy, we've had meetings, you know, your planning commission, you have an opportunity there, anyone does, to say what's on their mind.
You haven't
rather
held a
than-
public hearing though, the only one, you switched
Well-
to be a solar.
That's public, that's public.
I think there's different rules that go by. There isn't a 2-minute limit on a public comment. And even with that said, you know, if you're waiting to listen to what the people, their thoughts, their opinions, you've had the last year to do it. And if there isn't communication, so you're following lead with Terry Anderson with kicking off his conflicted planning commission members. So you took Julie on to have an alternative voice on the planning commission. You're following Lakeview's, Larry's, he's threatened to fire his planning commission members, those who don't comply with him. There's gonna be a push that the supervisors
Your
have
2
to
minutes
stand
are
up
Jeremy.
and
Now you-
express where they
Jeremy,
stand with this.
I'm trying to answer you. You've had opportunities, people have, and maybe I don't know what you want as a public hearing. What are you considering a public hearing? Somewhere where you all talk and nobody else?
Open discussion and not rants. So you get more rants from this side when we've got 2 minutes. I gotta ramble off, you know, as fast as I can. Give us 2 months. We can consolidate a lot of information in that time. We could give you the information ahead of time to be approved before we even present it publicly. Some of it's a give and take. But obviously you've had more participation in your meetings than you have in probably the last decade. That should say a lot.
Yep. But we haven't had any issue that needed,
You guys have done a great job keeping developments out of here. That's what the people want here. They want to keep a nice, calm community. And you go down that development road.
At any rate, what I'm saying is, you know, as John had said, we had agreed to meet with Tricia personally. We'd sit down and talk about some of these issues. We're willing to do that. At the planning commission and this sort of thing, you have an opportunity to say these things. And that's where it's gotta start first, is with the planning commission. Say what you would like. You know, and if it doesn't, then we can sit down and we can talk about it. And we will do that. I'm willing to do that.
The problem is there's a lot of fingers going back and forth, and the planning commission is blaming the board, and the board is blaming the planning commission. From what I understand, Phyllis, you have the final say in all this. You have the communication with the
Well, that's what I'm
lawyer.
saying. We're willing to do this. I was willing to meet with Tricia. I've told her several times. Don't compare us to other townships, because we're not them.
You're following their lead. That's
But
the.
no, I'm not. No, we're doing our thing,
But
I
it-
guess.
and like I
We
said,
do
I've-
follow our attorney. We do follow what our attorney's advice is. I will say that,
Well, he might be the missing link to who's communicating township to
Maybe.
township.
maybe. At any rate, thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Is there any other, yeah?
Jessica Quakel, Cato Township. So good. You must first harvest the officials, and then you can harvest the wind. That sticks out to me, because through all the different townships that I've been to, you have at least a few conflicted, or conflicts of interest, either on the planning commission or on the board of trustees. I really appreciate your wording, as you were expressing who you chose for the planning commission, with an emphasis on the fact that there was no conflict of interest. I would assume that that should go for anybody that's already on the board. We have a problem between different township, or between Montcalm County here, that there's been over $100,000 spent in lawyer fees coming from the pockets of the citizens. The fact that $100,000 to get the answer of, well, this is a gray area and not a conflict of interest. I mean, you can present the situation to a 5-year-old and they'd be able to tell you it's a conflict of interest. Colleen, back in April, you had expressed, it really surprises me how many people are doing the complaining, aren't registered voters. That amazes me. As a clerk, I have the ability to go statewide to see who is registered to vote and who's not. There's about 5 to 6 people who have been complaining at these meetings who are not even registered to vote in the state of Michigan. I hope that the 288 signatures kind of makes it a little bit louder, that it's not just 5 to 6 people that aren't even registered voters. We have almost 300 signatures from registered voters within Winfield Township. You ladies should be ashamed. We have only men on the planning commission. Nothing against men, nothing against women. I'm not trying to be sexist here at all, but if you want a transparent planning commission to be able to look at the situation from all different angles, the fact that it's only men, I mean, kind of makes me question. There's no transparency there. The fact that we are talking about paying Apex to give us some maps is beyond my comprehension. So here we want to start paying with our taxpayer dollars for Apex to give us a map of what they
We're
feel.
not paying.
Oh, I wasn't looking for a conversation. This is just me talking to you, remember?
Yeah, well, get it
Okay.
right. We're not paying Apex for maps.
Oh, they were gonna do it pro bono? Oh, for free. That's so courteous of them. It really is. So we're going on, this February marks a year since I found out about the intrusion of Montcalm Wind. Although they had been here for many more years. In fact, living in the country, I enjoy waving at my neighbors. It's kind of something I really like about living out in the country is I used to wave at my neighbors because, well, they're neighbors. That's a neighborly thing to do. Until you find out that your neighbor, who you've been waving at for the past 5 years, daily, multiple times, has single-handedly tried to sell out the community. It is just astonishing to me. That's it.
Are there any other comments?
I'm Robin Bolton, Valley Township. I'm just curious as to which one of you guys are actually taking the minutes. Are you just throwing it up here?
Colleen's taking minutes.
Seriously, I haven't seen her lift a pencil since she's been, the public comment that she possibly can't remember every comment that's been made. That's another thing right there. I mean, if we did not record, we would not know what was mentioned in the minutes on the public comment, other than what time it started and what time it ended. I do believe if you read in your red book, there's something in there about public comment, about how well the minutes are taken. Maybe you better follow suit on the red book. Thank you.
Any other comments? Then I'm gonna close public comment. Sure. Is there support? Who's your? Been moved and supported to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed,